LEGO Clone Troopers. So we've been graced with an absolute ton of different Clone Troopers throughout the years. From some that look absolutely amazing to, well, yeah, that. But yeah, LEGO has made absolutely tons of Clone Troopers throughout the years. But have you ever wondered how your favourite Clone Trooper would look if LEGO remade it in 2021? Well, if you have, then watch this video closely because I'm going to do my best to show you. So in order for you to understand what I mean by the style of Clone Trooper, I'm going to run you through a brief history of all the different styles we've had so far. So we originally had the Clone Troopers with the sort of cutout visors. These were from the early 2000s. We had this in both Phase 2 and Phase 1 in a couple different varieties there. Then when the Clone Wars came around, we had the animated Phase 1 Clone Troopers. These are probably the most nostalgic you can think of. When the show then finally progressed into Phase 2 form, we got the Phase 2 style in the form of 501st Troopers, 212 Troopers, Wolfpack clones, and even Shock Troopers. Then when LEGO started basing their sets on more of the movies rather than the shows, we got the realistic style of Clone Troopers. These are really cool. In my opinion, these are my personal favourites. We got these in both Phase 1 and Phase 2 form, all the way up until we got the Phase 2 Gunner. This was the last realistic clone we saw before in 2020 LEGO graced us with the 501st Battle Pack. So this of course came with a new style of Clone Trooper that we call the 2020 style. So far we've had these three variants that you see on here, but I believe this is a mash between the animated and the realistic style, and I believe this is the way LEGO are going to go with their Clone Troopers in the future. So now that brings us back to our question, how would these Clone Troopers that we've seen in the past look if LEGO remade them in the 2020 style? Of course we know what the 501st would look like, but what about their counterparts, the 212th? So there it is, that is the 212th Trooper in the 2020 style. What do you guys think? I think this is a downgrade personally. I think that realistic style is way nicer in my opinion, but nevertheless I think it's pretty cool. Obviously it's got the white arms there. You'll see this is a theme with all the 2020 style Clone Troopers, obviously following after the 501st clone which had the white arms rather than the blue arms. Of course, whilst we're talking about 212, we've got to see what their leader, Commander Cody, would look like. This is something people have been begging LEGO to make for years, and this is how I think Commander Cody would look if he was to be made in 2021 or onwards. I think the thing that's stopping LEGO from making this guy is the visor. I think they just don't have a good design for a Phase 2 visor yet, but there are tons of custom ones that they could copy easily. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think this guy would live up to the hype, and do you think we'll be getting it in the gunship later this year? How can we mention Commander Cody without mentioning Captain Rex? So this is how he looks like. He is a really expensive fig, but if he got remade in 2020, this is how I think he would look. What do you guys think of this? Do you think this would be an upgrade? Obviously, I think it would be really good because then more people would have access to this guy, but definitely would be a cool one to see nonetheless. Do you guys want to make your very own custom 2020 style Clone Troopers? If you do, make sure to stay tuned till the end of the video to find out more about how I made these awesome Clone Troopers. Oh, and if you're watching this and you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure to scroll down and hit that big red subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and it means you won't miss out on any more of my future content. But without further ado, let's get into the next Clone Trooper. Next up we have the boys in red, the Coruscant Guard, aka the Shock Troopers. This is how they looked before, and this is how I think they would look if they were remade in 2020. Obviously we did have an animated version of this which I don't have in my collection sadly, so I can't compare them, but this looks awesome. I think this is one of the nicest looking 2020 style Clone Troopers for sure. Of course, the Coruscant Guard have their controversial leader in Commander Fox, and this is how he would look in the 2020 style. I think he'd be pretty cool, and I definitely would love to see this guy for sure. Obviously, we're used to the Shock Troopers being in red, but how about the Kamino Security Guard, which are sort of a recolor of the Shock Trooper in a dark grey colour scheme. The only reason I'm mentioning these is because we did actually see them in the trailer for the Bad Batch, so we possibly could see this in a coming set in the summer or maybe next year. So the Wolfpack is another awesome Legion that we got back in the day. However, this fig is so expensive. I don't have this one in my collection. Other than Rex, I think this is one of the most expensive Clone Troopers out there on the market right now. But this is how they would look if they were remade now in 2021 or onwards in this 2020 style. Obviously, these have details on their arms, which LEGO definitely would not do. I highly doubt they would do this on a Clone Trooper, but I think it looks pretty cool nonetheless. Just picture them having white arms or maybe even dark grey arms if you prefer that. But yeah, I think this is how they would look if we did get them. And fingers crossed one day we can get a Wolfpack remake. Commander Wolf, obviously to go with the Wolfpack, is a fig that we've only ever had in Phase 1 form, and this is how he would look if he were made in 2021. Obviously I don't think LEGO would be able to do that antenna coming out of the helmet because in their Phase 2 helmets they don't have the little holes for that, but that's easy to fix. I guess they could just mold a new helmet with the hole in it, but I think this would be a really sick fig if they made this one as well. On the topic of commanders, let's switch over to the 327th and talk about Commander Bly. So he hasn't actually officially been made in LEGO. I know there was a sort of old fig that had a pauldron from the 327th, but I don't think he was officially classed as Commander Bly. However, this is how he would look if we got him in a set now. I think this is unlikely. I don't think there's enough sort of popular demand for this guy to have him made into a complete fig. But I think this would be pretty cool, and I'm certainly a fan of the 327th for sure. You would then of course need a 327th Star Corps figure to go with Commander Bly, and this is how they would look if that was made in the 2020 style as well. So let's take a sec to look underneath the helmets and see what would be underneath the helmets in the 2020 style. Of course, first off we had the animated clone heads, which were a bit dodgy, it weren't the best looking heads. Then we had the angry clone, of course, which is a famous clone head that was on a ton of figures. Then finally, with the 501st Troopers, we got the new updated head, which is definitely the most accurate in my opinion. Which of these three is your favourite of the three heads? Obviously, I think my favourite is the far right one, and I think this is what we're going to be seeing on any clones that are made from here onwards. So now let's move on to the plain white Phase 2 clone trooper. This is one of my favourite clones of all time. Really hard to get your hands on in high quantity as it only came in one set. But this is how it would look in 2020 if it was remade by LEGO. Hopefully they will remake this one day. I really would love to see a battle pack with just 4 plain white clone troopers, or even 6, whatever we get. I don't really mind. As long as we get these in a set, I would absolutely love this. I think this is something we all really need. Of course, in 2020 we got the AAT set, which came with a 332nd Trooper, but how would their leader, Captain Vaughn, look if he was made in 2020? This is how I think he would look. The little patch on his chest sets him apart from the regular 501st torso, but other than that, it's pretty much a regular 501st Trooper. And then he's got a pretty similar helmet, just a few slight differences, and then obviously a visor there as well. Finally, I'm just going to touch on the 13th Battalion. I know LEGO have never made this before, but how sick would this be? These guys are obviously from Jedi Fallen Order, and I would love to see them in a LEGO set one day, and this is how they would look if they did come in a new set in that new style. Before I finish the video, I just want to ask you guys, what do you think of the Phase 1 Clone Troopers? Do you think we'd ever get these again? And if we do, will we see them in the realistic style, or the animated style, or a completely new style like in the Phase 2 form? What do you guys reckon? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you didn't know already, this is how the Clone Troopers are made. So they are made by a company called Jonak Toys, and they basically make decal sheets that you apply to blank LEGO figures in the 2020 style. And they make loads of other styles as well, both animated and realistic, so you can get a ton of different custom clones over there. But if you want to get them and you're in the UK or Europe or anything like that, and you don't want to wait ridiculous times and pay ridiculous shipping fees, then head over to blueharvestbricks.com. This is an awesome reseller in the UK. They sell a ton of different stuff, not only Jonak decals, but loads of other things as well. It's definitely well worth checking out, and you can always use my code SWBricks10 for 10% off. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your feedback in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.